Now, I hear a lot of you out there in the audience going, oh no, another Mercury retrograde. I hate Mercury retrograde. But let me tell you something about the great thing about Mercury retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades last about 3 weeks, and they are not bad. What they do is they make you look at things that need to be addressed wherever Mercury is retrograding in your chart. It's a great time to rethink things. Maybe I need to clean out my files. That's a real good Virgo thing to do. Maybe I need to finish that tax return that's still not sent in. Another really good Virgo thing to do. Maybe I need to renew my license. Very Virgoan. Maybe I need to send that application in for the fall classes because the deadline is coming. That's all Mercury retrograde stuff. And in fact, if you've been doing this before Mercury goes retrograde on Wednesday and it still hasn't shown up in the mail or in your email, a Mercury retrograde is a really good time to follow through, make a phone call, a real phone call, not a text or an email, but a real phone call to find out where is that paperwork? Where is that card? Where is that passport? Important. That's what we do on Mercury retrogrades. And if your car or a piece of machinery has been giving you a little bit of trouble before the retrograde, that's kind of an indication you probably need to take it into the shop. Because one thing you don't want to be is on the highway and something happens because you didn't take care of something that you were already getting messages for before Mercury went retrograde. Just a thought.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Astrology Hub's Academy. Wherever you are on your astrology journey, we have a class that will help you get to the next level. Hi there. Welcome to your weekly astrological weather. I am so grateful that you have joined this worldwide astrological conversation. Now, if you're new to our channel, welcome. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay updated on all the new content releases each week. Now, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Jamie McGee. I'm an author, an astrologer, and one of the hosts here on the Astrology Hub podcast platform. Now, before we get started today, I wanted to let you know about Astrology Hub's Health, Wealth, and Fulfillment Workshop series that's coming up. This is going to be taught across 3 weeks by 3 legends, and there will be 3 chart reading techniques to really help you unlock your highest potential. Now, the teachers of this workshop are Judith Hill, Michael Bryant, and our guest today, Miss Georgia Stathis. Now, you can learn more about this workshop series by going to astrologyhub.com/workshop. We'll have that link below the podcast for you. Now, again, I am so grateful to be here with you today and one of my favorites, Miss Georgia Stathis. Today, we're going to be talking about the week of August 21st through the 27th. Georgia is a weekly weather favorite. She was an Inner Circle guide in 2023 and has been practicing and teaching astrology on an international level since 1977, and she is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Georgia, for being back with us here today.
Thank you, Jamie.
Love it. So for those of you who are listening on the podcast, Georgia always has a beautiful presentation. She describes it very well too, but if you ever are curious about the slides that she's speaking about, you can find it on YouTube. And we can't wait to hear what you have in store for this week, Georgia, and I'll let you take it away. You can share your screen.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So hello, everybody. We're closing to the end of the summer now. It's been quite a summer. And this week's weekly weather is from August 21st to August 27th. And what we're going to be seeing this week is a major movement when the tropical sun is moving from the sign of Leo to the sign of Virgo, which always happens around the end of August. But the week is still beginning with the sun in tropical Leo for 2 more days. And one of the things that happens when a planet is at the very end of its run, that's called the anaretic degree. It's like you're moving faster and faster and faster, like you're in a hamster cage in a wheel and not knowing what to do. So I would always suggest when you're moving from one sign to the next each month to be aware of that, because the energy does markedly shift as the sun enters tropical Virgo on Wednesday, August 23rd. Now, another highlight, which we're going to cover in a minute, is what just happened is the sun was opposite Pluto as it was finishing with Cancer about a month ago. But at the end of this week, the sun is opposing Saturn. And that's a big deal for a lot of people because it's a decision-making time. And this is a week as we move through that week and greet Sunday's Saturn opposition to Sun to get ready for a week of epiphanies, definitely reality checks, and perhaps even a few surprises that could actually be good as unaddressed issues bubble up to the surface. And one of the major fixed stars is called Regulus, which actually falls under the paw of the lion in the constellation of Leo. So Regulus is very important because that's right at the end of Leo and right at the beginning of Virgo right now. And so it's known whenever planets, especially the sun, goes over it, it's known for its strength and the ability to rise up, become famous and prosper, because that's what it's about. But the key thing with Regulus is avoid hubris and the sin of pride against the gods, which we always talk about when we talk about mythology, but some major mythological themes. And it's very important as you're going through this transition this week that you be careful about ego and that your pride does not goeth before the fall. And that's what's happening as the sun is moving from Leo to Virgo on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And one more, this is a real constellation in the sky. This is actually the paw of the lion where we see Regulus. And you also notice right below it, we see Venus, which is still retrograde since late July when I first spoke about it. And the key thing about Regulus is success is guaranteed if you keep revenge out of the equation. That's really important. And those less evolved or less aware, who are hopefully becoming more aware, might find that stepping on other people's stuff because you only care about yourself with this particular fixed star is something to really think about not doing. Being aware of those that support your heart and your heart issues versus those who step on it. Moving forward, so as the sun is crossing from Leo to Virgo in the midweek, it represents again the ability to rise to great heights. And again, reminding people to let go of pride and ego as you move into Virgo time, where you really have to get down to brass tacks and start figuring out some solutions that need figuring out. And this is going to be particularly important as we get to the middle of the week, because in the middle of the week, Mercury, which rules Virgo, is beginning its retrograde at 22 degrees of Virgo as the sun is just entering Virgo. Now, I hear a lot of you out there in the audience going, oh no, another Mercury retrograde. I hate Mercury retrograde. But let me tell you something about the great thing about Mercury retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades last about 3 weeks, and they are not bad. What they do is they make you look at things that need to be addressed wherever Mercury is retrograding in your chart. It's a great time to rethink things. You know, maybe I need to clean out my files. That's a real good Virgo thing to do. Maybe I need to finish that tax return that's still not sent in. Another really good Virgo thing to do. Maybe I need to renew my license. Very Virgoan. Maybe I need to send that application in for the fall classes because the deadline is coming. That's all Mercury retrograde stuff. And in fact, if you've been doing this before Mercury goes retrograde on Wednesday and it still hasn't shown up in the mail or in your email, a Mercury retrograde is a really good time to follow through, make a phone call, a real phone call, not a text or an email, but a real phone call to find out where is that paperwork? Where is that card? Where is that passport? Important. That's what we do on Mercury retrogrades. And if your car or a piece of machinery has been giving you a little bit of trouble before the retrograde, that's kind of an indication you probably need to take it into the shop. Because one thing you don't want to be is on the highway and something happens because you didn't take care of something that you were already getting messages for before Mercury went retrograde. Just a thought. So let's move on. So the good news is once the sun goes from Leo, which was opposite Pluto about a month ago in Cancer, now it's finishing in Leo, it's going to enter Virgo, a much cooler earth, grounded, discriminating. It knows what's good. It knows what's bad, knows how to parse things out. Virgo is really a good sign. It's a cooler sign that is far more discriminating when it approaches big problems or big confrontations. The fiery, emotional stuff that we've been getting with not only the sun in Leo and Mars was in Leo, and now it's been in Virgo, of course, and now Venus still retrograde in Leo, which is very Mars-like. It's going to give you a little time to chill. And the takeaway is as it enters Virgo, the sun, it's also being ruled by or disposited by Mercury and Virgo, which is also slowing down. So what this is going to do, it's going to offer you a little bit of and a rare opportunity to buy yourself some time to rethink something that maybe wasn't feeling like the right decision in the last few weeks, or where you don't have all the information. This is going to buy you some time to do a little rethinking and to get what needs straightening out straight. And of course, as we go towards the end of the week, Mars, because Mars has been in Virgo for a few weeks now. And, Mars in Virgo, and I'm not being negative about Mars in Virgo. I like Mars in Virgo because it really helps you get down to the fine details of what editing details is what I like to call it. But it can be a little bit picky, a little too picky sometimes. And so the good news is at the end of this week, which is Sunday, August 27th, Mars will be entering Libra, which is ruled by Venus, a little bit more, shall we say, tactful and gracious in its expression of what it needs. And right before it does that, we're also seeing kind of a grounding energy as transiting Mars is in the late degrees of Virgo, trining those last degrees of Pluto at 29 and 28 Capricorn, where it seems to be hanging on for forever and where it will be hanging on for a while. But this is a real good grounding day when Mars trines Pluto and then Mars goes into Libra ruled by Venus. It's a solid day. And it begins an opportunity at that point to providing discernment that's needed to make some of the very important decisions that are inevitable in the next 2 weeks, because in the next few weeks, we're going to have Venus, which is already kind of not moving. It looks like it's just sort of stationing to go direct. It's beginning to move in a direct motion in a couple of weeks. September 3rd is when that happens. But we've been dealing with that all summer long. So there are decisions being made in the next few weeks. And this Mars entering Libra on Sunday gives you more of a balancing act as to what to ask for, what not to ask for, to negotiate. Mars in Libra can often be a master negotiator. And so that's going to be real helpful, a lot better than Mars in Virgo, where it's been the last few weeks. Okay. So right after that happens on Sunday, this is the important piece for the week. And this is near the end of our presentation today. The sun the tropical sun is moving into an opposition to Saturn in Pisces. And, this only happens once a year. And what's an opposition? An opposition is a 180-degree aspect. It's a 180-degree distance in the course of a 360-degree circle. You can't go 181 degrees in any circle. It starts to reduce the size. So what is a 180 degree? It's when the rubber band is stretched. It's kind of like a full moon in a lot of ways, when the Earth is between the sun and the moon. And what happens when you stretch a rubber band? It breaks, or you realize it's about to break and you need to let go of something. That's what opposition is about. And an opposition also is a back and forth decision-making time. Some things are going to have to be set aside. You're real lucky that it's happening that the sun is in Virgo rather than in Leo when it's opposing Saturn, because the sun in Virgo is going to be a lot more practical about what you don't need, like the clothes in the closet that you haven't worn for 6 years, but you really like. That's a really simple example, but it helps you parse things out. So, and this decision-making time, this opposition that's happening at the late part of this week on August 27th is a direct reaction, if you will, to when the sun and Saturn were together in a conjunction. Oppositions are completely opposite. That's 180 degrees. Conjunctions are 0 degrees when the sun and Saturn were together. And that was in February, on February 16th of 2023 at late degrees of Aquarius, 27 Aquarius. So, Aquarius can be a little rigid. Saturn sun conjunction. Saturn rules concrete, stones, rocks, conjunct the sun, the heart. Aquarius, kind of a coldness, although I do love Aquarius energy, but it can be cool, very cool. So there's some ideas we all had, ideological ideas. This is how it's got to be, no other way. That happened February 16th of 2023. So the question I asked you, wherever that happened in your chart, is that really working for you? I mean, part of it has worked because the Sun Saturn that happened in February is about putting some sort of form to an idea, to a creative idea. But some of that stuff isn't working right now. So that's why this coming Sunday on August 27th, 2023, when the transiting Sun is around 3 degrees, 50 minutes of Virgo, opposite the transiting Saturn retrograde at 3 degrees Pisces, 50 minutes, it's about being honest with yourself. What part of that plan you started in the early part of this year works, but what part of that plan that you started early in this year is shooting you in the foot? And so this is the time to be practical because certain things are no longer tenable because the opposition is stretching you and asking you to decide on something. So decide. Now, you don't have to throw, as we used to say, the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, let's be a little bit prudent about this, but little baby steps can make this happen. Like magazines you've been collecting from 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Are you really going to use those magazines? That's the first step. Dump them in the recycling bin. Then you move up, you move up, you move up. And this helps you move through this next few weeks as we see the Sun moving further and further into Virgo, as we see Venus stationing direct to go forward in Leo. And by doing that, you're letting your genie out of the bottle because it's your genie screaming to get out of the bottle. And once the only way the genie can get out of the bottle is to make a wish. So don't judge things when ideas come out. Be careful about being too judgmental because that voice of judgment gets in the way of making decisions. Just tell the voice of judgment to go away. And the other piece to think about is that since we're trying to let that poor little genie out of the bottle, what we're also going to see if we aren't doing that, because we have choices, we are human beings, we have free will, we have choices. But over the next few months, Uranus, which is the great awakener and also has a reputation of being somewhat chaotic, which I think it's only chaotic when we're not listening to the radio waves that are coming into our heads, it keeps engaging more and more with that rigid structure that began on February 16th of 2023. Now, we always keep something before we throw certain things away. What are the good things that started for you in February of 2023? That's where the genie is going to get out of the bottle in a really positive way. But if you're not letting go of some things that are not working, there's going to be earthquakes in consciousness because you can't have it all. You just can't have it all, but you can have part of it. And if you let the genie out and let he or she release some steam, then you can have a little bit more magic coming into your life, a little bit more breathing room. Remember, Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury is the planet that rules the lungs. This is why people who have Gemini and Virgo in their charts really have to be very careful about their lungs, the hands, the arms, the shoulders, the lungs. Are you not breathing enough right now? If you're not breathing enough, the genie wants to come out of the bottle. So be practical, be realistic, ask yourself what is no longer tenable, distinguish. And this is very important because Venus is about what I want, what I desire, what I have to have. And Venus has been retrograding all summer long and doesn't go direct till September 3rd. And as she's turning to go direct, she's asking you between what do you really need? That's a good Virgo question too. Versus what do you want? These are things that we have to survive. Wants are things that we should like to have to simply enjoy ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with having wants. But right now, for a lot of people with the Sun opposing Saturn, it's really important to look at the basics. What are our needs? And then put the baggage down that's keeping you from moving forward. Get a specialist if you don't know how to do it. Someone who's experienced, who's direct, yet honest. All week when Mercury is stationing to go retrograde at 21, 22 degrees of Virgo, it's also coincidentally enough, and there are no coincidences, aligning itself with Pallas Athena, which is one of the 4 major asteroids. And Pallas Athena was the goddess of wisdom. She's a specialist. She's a consultant. She's a pattern identifier, as Bill Meridian used to say. If she agrees with what you're trying to do, that specialist, then she will give you the strategy as well as the tools to make your ideas happen. If she doesn't really feel it's the right thing, then you're on your own. So Ask the specialist what they think might be the right thing to do, and then check in with yourself. And with Mercury retrograde this week, starting Wednesday, August 23rd, all the way through September 15th, it might be a good time to also sharpen some of those tools of yours, gain some new ones, some new skills, new ideas, new processes, new employers, new employees, new equipment. Take classes, hire helpers, or anyone moving you towards positive change. Minimize and then move on. And move forward and get back on your road with less complacency and indecision. Anything is possible. And that's the weekly weather.
Goodness, it's such a great forecast. I love how you said get a specialist. I wonder how many people are going to be tuning into Astrologer Connect, the brand new platform we have here to work with a specialist about, decluttering a lot of different areas of our life. When we work with, like, sometimes it's just emotional blockage, especially.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, especially since the sun is in Leo. Leo is the heart.
Yes.
It's the heart. If your heart's not open, it's really hard to be creative. It's really hard to receive. It's hard to give.
And that's a fixed energy too. So going from a fixed point of energy at that energetic degree right into that mutable. Okay. Yeah. It's like a big rush to kind of get it done. And even having, I love what you said about Mars and Virgo too, but those to-do lists, man, like they've been evaporating with Mars and that list. Check. Yeah. We should be in the mood to kind of move that on. So like we're coming into this week with a lot of big, like some transition. We're going to go from one kind of state of mind to the other. And then the retrograde too. I think that's good to note. It's to use that energy in a positive way. Because a lot of people, oh no, like all the plans went crazy. But I guess the real question is, if you're being distracted or if something didn't go the way you wanted to, where is your attention going and why? Like look to kind of follow that curiosity to see how it works. And I love the decluttering idea of it, especially going into the different season, because some of us are getting ready to go back to school, transition our closets to cooler weather. Can't believe summer was like that. Summer went by really fast. This whole year's gone by fast. But
I know it's been a weird summer in the northern hemisphere. A weird summer. Yeah, but I think the decluttering, it's interesting because Virgo in the natural zodiac rules the natural sixth house.
Yeah.
And the sixth house is like the small intestine. It rules the small intestine, actually. And it's the small intestine of the horoscope of the life. And when you have things going through Virgo, like the small intestine, that is the important organ that discriminates. Mm-hmm. Okay, what food do we need to keep alive? And what do we really need to discard, which goes to the large intestine, which is very Plutonian, what we need to let go of, right? And I think that people underestimate the importance of Virgo every year. I think it has to do with service. I think it has a lot to do with simplify.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what really matters, it's in the details too. And having all the Mercury retrogrades and Earth signs, it really is about sometimes that material. We've talked about emotional blockage, but sometimes it really is, like you said, making the phone call, cleaning out the closets. It's like whatever you do not need that's blocking your path. That's definitely something that you can move. And I also feel too that when you work with clients, if they're getting ready they're like, I really want to move, or I'm looking for a partner. And I always ask them, like, okay, well, what are we doing to get ready for that? Do we clean out a side table floor? Yeah. What are we doing do we start packing things up? Because as soon as you start doing the physical transition and you kind of turn on that whole energy and you're able to make some decisions, or you kind of see those opportunities are hidden right there in plain sight, ready to be like, oh, there's that 1 degree of separation. If I make this decision, go right instead of left, because I'm in that mindset. I think that's a good way to work with any kind of retrograde season. And that's kind of
especially Mercury retrograde. We have the opportunity, a good opportunity, 3 times a year.
Yes.
When Mercury, it's not like 1 time a year, it's 3 times a year, and it's not that long. It's only 3 weeks. Yeah. And I think we can look at Mercury retrogrades as yay instead of
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Especially if you were born with Mercury in retrograde too, because it's kind of like everyone starts to dial into your frequency and you're like, yes, this is kind of how the invitation really is to slow down. And I think that the confusing or the sense of humor of the universe is they often feel busy because we're having to do the double work or go back or listen twice as hard. But really, it is to slow and to listen and to be grounded and to ask yourself. I love the practicality that you brought into this week. There's a lot of points where when we switch this energy, practical questions that we can ask ourselves, practical actions that we can take to put things in order. And to really look at, like we talked about how fast the summer, this whole year has kind of felt like that. So like you said, back in February, what's not working, and what do you need to go back to the negotiation table with? And how can you adjust, bringing in different people? What specialists do you need? What helpers do you need to make your life easier? Definitely. I love all your wordsmithing too. So what would you say would be the theme for this week? We're gonna let the genie out of the bottle. Or I wrote in a lot of good lines.
Let's see. What would be the theme for this week is simplify.
Simplify. Yeah. I like that. Simplify. And then there's a simple
and make a wish, and then once you start
simplify and make a wish.
And make a wish.
Simplify and make a wish. There you go.
And don't judge the wish.
Yes. Turn the judger off.
Because the Saturn sun can be very judgy,
It's something that Virgo sun too.
Yes.
You're very hard on yourself. So yeah, kind of turn that inner editor off and you're going to follow your heart, follow your intuition, simplify what matters and why does it matter? Like if you're the only person on the planet, what would you create? Create that. Because then
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, Georgia, I love the way that you teach and just the way that you express yourself. You are a brilliant teacher, and I know that you've been doing it for years. It definitely shows. And we actually have a great opportunity for everyone to learn from you coming up very soon with this fall workshop series that we have that's going to be focusing on purpose, health, and wealth. Georgia is one of the speakers there. She's going to be talking about wealth, something that she does so beautifully and fluently. She's going to tell you, like even today's broadcast, it was like, did you check on your tax return? There's always going to be a tax return or budget or something. She's going to get you into those details. But this is going to be an amazing workshop. I personally cannot wait to attend it. If you want to learn more about this, get ahead of the crowd, you can go to astrologyhub.com/workshop, and you'll be the first to know about how you can connect with Georgia very soon. Are you excited to teach this workshop, Georgia?
I am. And it's not don't be scared, folks, about it, because there's some very, very practical examples and exercises that we're going to do in it that you can do even if you don't know a lot about astrology.
Yeah, that's the best thing is to be able to, just kind of give me the high level. What tool can I walk away with and apply every day and kind of have that specialist, which we're going to be looking for this week, working with you, kind of that little mindset to carry, a good note to have. But yeah, it's going to be great. I was one of the things when I was looking at the year of everything Astrology Hub was doing, I had my eye on this one. I was like, why does it have to be at the end of the year? Why couldn't it be sooner? Because I was just so excited to see how all of you guys coming together for such a brilliant talk. But that's going to be great. And again, you can go to astrologyhub.com/workshop and learn. And if you are looking for a specialist this week, don't be shy to check out Astrologer Connect at astrologyhub.com/connect. There's a lot of great specialists over there for different areas of astrology to kind of help you work with everything from your business to your health, to your mindset, to your soul purpose, you name it. There's some great people there, but always so many great assets here at Astrology Hub. Georgia, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Forward to working with you guys again. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode, for being part of our community and making astrology a part of your life. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.